All right, it's another edition of FCM podcast. It's J Main and Peter. Just the two of us this time. What up, Peter?
What's up, Bobby? Ready for a little two-man action? Maybe we'll get a third man halfway through this pod, but for now, this is what we got.
Pause, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's just the two of us. I don't think anyone's listening at the moment, but I'm going to be spamming the entire chat room of links. Pod is on. But let's get right to it. First of all, before we even get to the pick, it seems like the Braves are just picking first overall for the last 10 years, it seemed like. What are your thoughts on that? Like, are they on the right track, or are they creating a monster? Are you getting nervous? Like, what's up?
Well, I'm certainly not nervous because people have been talking like I should be nervous for like the last 5 or so seasons, and that still hasn't come to fruition.
But it really does seem like that they have the first overall pick for the last like 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think he traded into it this year. I mean, I think he had second, from the standings. I think he traded with Boston to get this first pick.
And I don't think this is the first time.
No, because he's got a lot of things to deal from. He's kind of collecting assets, and he hasn't cashed in any of these assets yet. It's kind of the staying cycle to turn these guys over eventually for established talent. I have my doubt that a lot of these guys will reach the majors with the Braves just because that's sort of how Stang runs things, but maybe it'll be different this time around with Rocky in the front office.
Right. Well, first overall pick, Clayton Stewart. It looked like a clear-cut number one. Guy looks like an ace. So, any thoughts on Clayton?
My thoughts on Stewart I would probably have been in the same exact boat, taking Stewart first overall. He's got the build that everybody basically likes. Maybe the movement's a little higher than what people typically go for, but I mean it's a pretty projectable build. It's a pretty safe build, and I think he'll turn into a future one or two pretty easily. I think he's a safe bet for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's pretty clear cut that this guy's going to be, if not a one, a two. I don't think his movement is as far away from his control or whatever.
Right.
Whatever you just said. Like sometimes you have like too much control and like little movement. I'm not sure if that's what you were mentioning. If not,
yeah, I mean the movement's a little high. I prefer it to be below the overall, but I think that applies mostly to guys that are in the 50s or 60s. But given he's already in the 70s, I don't think it's a big deal.
So you think that his control will lag a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he has to get into the 90s for that to be over 90s, I think.
We're definitely nitpicking here. This guy is going to be a fucking Hall of Famer probably, but...
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves yet, but...
I'll tell you what, though. I am shocked that Boston traded away this pick because I believe it happened after we saw it, and we all saw Stewart as a clear-cut number one. I'm just shocked. I think they got it. I'm not sure what the haul was, and I'm sure it was fine. But it's just hard when you see the guy right in front of you. It's like, oh, I have an ace in front of me. You just traded him away. I'm just shocked personally, but
yeah, I'm not. I don't have the details of that trade right in front of me, so I don't know how sweet it was for Boston or Atlanta.
Yeah, all I'm saying,
I should have researched that a little bit.
All I'm saying is that you basically knew who that pick was going to be.
Right.
I just find it hard to just be like, okay, I'm trading this guy. I'm trading Stewart. But there's a reason why I haven't won any championships because I've made a lot of dumb mistakes in my life. Anyway, 2 overall, same thing. Atlanta, they picked a dude that was similar to. They picked this guy Connors several years back. Looks like the same build. Graham, Belair's, contact speed. Bit of an arm. Looks like
this one was a little bit more controversial. I think a lot of people expected he maybe would fall closer to 10 than 2. Not that that's a massive difference, but I'm not sure a lot of people saw him going at 10.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw it coming because I believe the dude he traded to Boston was a speed guy. And I said, shit, that's perfect. He gives himself an ace and a replacement. So this was, I thought, a bettable type pick in my opinion. Only because of the trade with Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Rid of one of the speed guys and just to replenish it, right away. So first of all, kudos to the Braves. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people realize at this point that these speed guys aren't exactly my style. Like when I look at a guy like Bruce Connors, the guy you just compared him to me he seems a little bit like a trap. I mean, I these speed guys are interesting to me if their bat can stand on their own. Like if their speed was 70, would this guy still be good? With Bruce Connors, that hasn't proven to be true. His career OPS stands at 687, and if Ballars does the same exact thing,
True. I mean,
Ballars would be a serious disappointment in my eyes.
well, Bruce Connors hasn't peaked yet, so I guess we haven't seen his best years. But yeah, he's underwhelmed. I would say, surprisingly. Actually, I haven't really followed him. He's been in 2 full seasons now, so you would think that you'd have a breakthrough.
Yeah, I see a number of these speed guys that their OPS never even breaks 700. Like that's not my type of player. I'm not into that sort of thing. They need to swing a better bat than that for me to be interested in them. If Ballars only ends up at 85 or so, I think he's going to be pretty similar to Connors, and that wouldn't really float my boat. If he gets into the 90s, then I'm sure he'll be good.
Maybe there's something deeper with it because I know Matty. And if he was on, he would tell you more about it, but I don't really understand it fully. But there's something to do with the hit and run stat, and if it's like below it could bloat the contact rating. Like a guy I have pulled up right now. I think I have this whole screen shared. Do you see Blaine Moore on the screen, Peter?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. I'm surprised I don't have it shared. I think I do have it shared. Anyway, Blaine Moore, a former first overall pick to Toronto, looked like a stud, and he has underwhelmed his whole career. He doesn't look that great now because he's somewhat declining. Well, he is declining. But when he was peaked, he looked like a stud, and he kind of underwhelmed his whole career. So not to say that this is going to happen to Belair's or even Connors, but it has happened before. So I guess to your point that these guys are kind of like traps sometimes. But I thought it was a right pick, but I see what you're saying that this could be a trap. But his fucking high school stats are crazy though. It doesn't mean everything, but
yeah, he certainly has plenty of room to grow. I don't think he's had his birthday, or I think he's had his birthday, but he hasn't got a corresponding jump going through the season yet. So that could be a big difference in sort of how his progression works.
And I'll tell you, in part laziness, I do not know who jumped or who. I think I knew who jumped. I don't know who dropped, significantly due to their birthdays.
Yep.
I can't tell you if he dropped or jumped or whatever.
I mean, I rely on the charts somewhat. The vitals tab.
Yeah.
That's the birthday too. So I mean, it's sort of guesswork unless you're writing this down for everybody. But he certainly hasn't had his birthday or hasn't had a jump yet this season. So if he gets that and he's like 75, 92 after that or something like that, then I'm sure he'll look rather fancy.
All right, so moving on. I have an inside scoop that our friend Mikey Sweets did not overly scout this draft, but he must have scouted pick number 3 because he picked Len Grimes, first baseman. I personally like Grimes, though. I mean, I think this was said a couple of pods ago that it's tough to pick a first baseman because, you could always find one later, and the value isn't so much there. But yeah. I do like Grimes, left-hander, great defense, great upside.
So just looking at this based on the rest of the board right here, if I was looking at pitcher, I'd probably be looking at Chris Valentine, who went 9th to Texas, or I'd be looking at Zuniga, who went 5th to San Diego. But as far as bats go, Grimes was definitely the best on the board, in my opinion.
Best overall bat or best overall first baseman?
I'd say the best overall non-pitcher.
Non-pitcher. Okay.
Yeah. So someone knock him, I guess, for his contact being, I guess, in line with his overall, with strikeouts being a low number per at bat. But I think his contact is basically a sure thing to get over 80, 85. He has a ton of upside. You're gonna love the bat at first base. I mean, the glove at first base, even if first base glove isn't a huge factor, he's still gonna be like plus 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 over there. And the bat's really projectable. So I'm a big fan of Len Grimes.
I would say my knock on Grimes would be I hope that peak isn't bloated at all because of his defense, or when he develops, it goes more towards the glove than the bat. I'm not sure if the bat is going to be as elite as it seems.
The glove doesn't even have that much more room to grow. I think it's all going to go to the bat.
Well, you would hope.
If he ends up as like a 92 or something, he's going to be a hell of a player.
I think he's going to be a hell of a player. I'm just kind of nitpicking. But to the contact point, well, he is at the magic number at 70, so that's good.
Yeah, and if he gets to 92 or so, I don't see any reason that's not going to be 80, 85, something like that. And then there's going to be no reason to not like that.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I don't know about the defense. I hope that doesn't kind of like affect his bat's potential. Like if he I feel like he will either become a above average bat or an outstanding bat, and I hope because of defense it doesn't fall to above average, because that would be a shame.
Yeah, I don't anticipate the defense eating into that. I haven't noticed that off the top of my head, so I'd have no reservations about Grimes. I think he's is sure of a thing that comes in this draft.
Because maybe I don't know. From past experience, I don't remember any elite bat that has elite defense on top of it. Like, I don't know if you could find many. So I'm just wondering, because there was
Well, one that jumps out of my mind is Brandon Zimmerman, guy. I don't think you were around when.
I've seen him. He was like a contact,
Yeah, he wasn't the same kind of bat as Grimes, but his defense profiled similarly, where he's really elite defense at first base.
Okay. But was his bat?
It didn't the way his bat was able to progress at all.
Was his bat elite?
Yeah, he was a Hall of Famer.
Okay. Well, that's one example. I mean, I immediately fear that he'll become what's his name? He was on Kansas City last year. He was like defensive McGraw.
Yeah, I mean McGraw, the way he started his career, I think the drops hit him in a way that wasn't kind to him. But when McGraw was like 23 or something like that, he looked damn good. If I'm thinking of the same guy, I'm not looking it up right now, but if I'm thinking of the same guy, he looked pretty good when he was a youngin.
Basically, he was a crazy Gold Glove defender. You saw it right away, and you thought the bat would come around, but it didn't really come. He had a nice career, but nothing like a first overall pick. He had over 200 homers, I believe, but I don't know. I have my question marks about Grimes, honestly. I do.
Yeah, I'm all in on him. I think he's a sure thing. I think Mike's gonna be real happy about what he's looking like in 5 seasons.
I think a sure thing is the next pick, Sandoval. I think he's probably looking like Fregoso 2.0.
Yeah, he's of that build, similar.
He's a left-hander. He's got his powers, just above his overall. So that looks like it's gonna develop, 90 plus. His eyes right there, his contacts right there too. But he also plays good defense, so we might be seeing a couple Gold Gloves, sprinkled in there. But especially in Colorado, this guy might be a fucking.
He could be
stud.
super productive in Colorado.
Super.
So just to play out the scenario, only if that guy only gets to like 88 or so, maybe his power and eye aren't like elite, but he's gonna be the kind of bat that can really rake in Colorado, and he's gonna be a good fit in the outfield. So I'm not in the same boat as you of thinking Sandoval's a sure thing stud, but I think I certainly have no hate on that pick at 4. I think he's a good pick there.
Sure thing stud. If I was Cat, I'd be really ecstatic that he fell at 4. I thought he would go 3. I liked him over Grimes, but I'm looking at Fregoso. I'm looking at him. That's gonna be my comp. And Fregoso had a hell of a career.
Yes, he did.
Might not be a Hall of Famer, but he's in a Hall of very, very good. Let's just put it very, very good. Is that fair?
That's fair. I really like Sandoval, so no hate on that.
So basically, we'll just review the top 10, and then we could sprinkle in whatever picks, what other picks we like.
So what do you think was the worst pick of the top 10?
Worst pick top 10. Ooh, just threw it right on me.
We can't be all positive this whole thing. Oh, I love this pick. I love that pick. We can't do that. That's no fun.
Um, hmm. That's hard. I want to say number 10.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna go.
I don't think it's gonna be bad. I just think that that's the biggest question mark of all the 10 picks. Like you just don't know because he had a high endurance, which could inflate his peak. His control isn't all that special. He's got power.
Yeah,
But is
in
he
my mind, he's the
is he
type.
Nolan Ryan? I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, in my mind, he's the type of build that he can be good, but I think the chances are fairly low. He's gonna struggle with the long ball. I don't think there's any way avoiding that.
True.
He needs to get every bit of that 83 peak to be any good in my mind.
Yeah, and with power guys, it's almost like that pod link in there. It's almost like you have little room for error. Like if you're a power guy and you miss a jump or you're just above average or whatever, you're going to get hit around. Whereas if you're a ground ball guy, if you have a good defense behind you, you can look okay. But if you're a power guy and you don't peak out to what you initially are, you don't peak out to be elite, he might just get knocked around. So I would say Arnal's my guy. My second guy would be, I guess if we're saying like second worst or whatever, for being negative over here. I'm between LA's pick or Florida's pick. Somewhere.
Yeah, I think the tiebreaker there would be picking a shortstop that could be more valuable. With Williams, picking an outfielder that's not exactly dynamic in any facet. I mean,
I think he could be a elite bet though. Williams.
He certainly has that upside. But the way I'm looking at it, I would pick Chris Valentine 3 times over before picking Williams, just because the scarcity of a good pitcher. So I think that needs to be taken into account versus the ability to get a good hitting corner outfielder.
I would have a hard time if I had like number 5 overall. I love Zerninga. I'm a big fan of Mark Overstreet. Big fan. He's got a Gold Glove.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
he's got a Gold Glove since he was born. His contacts above his his contacts is in line with his overall. And third basemen in this league are few and far between. This guy looks pretty solid. He might not be an MVP, but he's going to be a guy you could plug in, and he has second base eligibility.
That's what I was going to comment on. No matter how he progresses or what you have in your mind, is you're going to be able to fit him in either at third or shortstop and have an elite defender. The bat may never, probably won't ever be spectacular, but just the way people are looking for those types of players this offseason, Overstreet's going to be 5 times better than what the average team is fielding at those positions.
Right.
It's a very scarce position right now. So Overstreet was, I think he was a no-brainer in the top 10, Overstreet.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm kind of shocked that he went 8. I thought he would be picked up, at least by. I mean, he got picked 8. That's very good.
I have no beef over where he went.
And you know what? LA had 2 top 10 picks, but I'm just surprised that Toralba was valued over. Toralba could be a tremendous player. He has the same build as a lot of other cats in the league. Where there's some dude, Joey Davis. There's some dude in the White Sox.
The problem I have with Toralba is we've seen this build before, and we've seen this build underachieve so many times.
True.
So that would be my huge reservation with it. I don't think I would have picked him just because we've seen this record before and it hasn't played out well.
I think Joey Davis, the guy he's compared to, I unfortunately think he's going to be a stud. With that being said, I hope Theo trades him for nothing. But it does come with question marks because we have seen it fail. But he's got elite speed. That's awesome. He can play. Not a shortstop. He's a second baseman, unless you really want to play a shortstop that is pretty shitty with the glove. What are your thoughts on Zuninga to the fighting Maddies?
Um, I guess my thoughts are it's no surprise we see pitchers go above slot constantly. So he's one of the players that you have the huge difference of control and overall. So he's almost a guarantee to get 90 control. He's Matty's type of guy that he'll keep the ball down. He'll prevent the home runs. I think he's basically a sure thing as a starter. I think he's a sure thing of being at least a number two.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I thought it was a slight reach, but
Yeah,
it,
I
that,
don't think it's a
that's
reach in
let's
2074 FCM.
let's just say he wouldn't be available at a second pick in 16. So if
Definitely not.
you wanted Suninga, then 5 was the spot. But I'm a fan. Any other first round picks that you want to gloss over?
So I think I mentioned Valentine already. I think a lot of GMs probably stay away because he's a lefty. I think lefties sort of have a little bit of a taint to him in this league. Lefty doesn't scare me. I think Valentine has a lot of upside. I think he's got the type of build that's projectable. It's basically just up to the mogul gods to give him the right jumps, but I really like Valentine.
Um, I like Valentine too, and I'm one of those cats who I try to avoid the left-hander, and I shouldn't. It's stupid, but I do prefer a right-hander. But I do like Valentine. He's got a plus sinker, and that's huge for a ground ball pitcher, especially him. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher at 65%. So that pitch alone should help his stats. I'm not sure how much he'll help his stats, but with that, he doesn't have much of a home run issue. I guess slight. It's not that bad.
No, it's nothing that's a red flag at this point.
Right. Yeah, safe pick. I had no issues with Valentine being picked. Do I think he's better than Zuninga? No. I like Zuninga.
Yeah.
Pick before him.
I guess the next ones that I like would be Salazar going 14th to Baltimore and Verena going 15th to Texas back to back. Big fan of both those guys.
I was big on Vrana. I actually would think that I thought that Vrana would be picked sooner. I actually liked Vrana over Valentine, one because he's right-handed. But Texas got both, so I guess you can't be mad if you're a Texas Rangers fan. But
The knock on Salazar will definitely be his health. We see the guys with 90 something health eat into their potential growth plenty of times.
I am not a fan of Salazar because of the health and because of home run and because of lefty.
Yep. Well, I don't think the home runs are out of whack at all. Just looking at it real quick, he looks like he's right in line at about 1 per 10 innings, which is right around average. And given he's a 52 playing against that sort of talent, I think it's too early to say whether he's a home run issue or not. I'd say right now he's probably about average.
But you're a big fan of that pick.
I'm not necessarily a huge fan. I think the health is a legitimate red flag of his future growth, but given the difference between his overall and control, I think he's basically a sure thing to get 85 control. That's definitely a useful pitcher.
Yeah.
With certainly more upside than that. I prefer Vrana, who went 15.
I thought Vrana at 15 was crazy. I just thought that he would be picked over Boulware, Ayala, possibly Rubenstein. A guy I want to talk about, I liked Jim Herron going 18 to the Dodgers. I don't know. There's just something about that. I liked Herron. That's it. I think he's a good pitcher.
I want to say Herron didn't really register much to me. I can understand someone liking him. I guess there's just other guys I would have been interested in that range.
Yes, I liked Arnold more. I liked my pick Sorensen more, but I did like Herron just as much.
Yeah. Well, just to name a couple guys I liked more than Herron would be Arnold, like you said. I liked Brandon Dunn more, who went to me. I like Scott Moran, who went to Cincinnati more. So maybe I'm nitpicking. I think Herron's a fine prospect, but he's far from a sure thing.
Yeah, and it seemed like past the midway point of the first round, people went pitcher. A lot of pitchers went out. midway through the first round, and actually, I'm a little shocked that it went pitcher heavy, but let's see,
It's
one, two,
interesting.
three, four,
I think I
five,
was going to talk about.
six pitches in a row from wow, Surret. How the hell, Pat Sertelli?
Sertelli is my best bet.
Sertelli. Sertelli. I don't know.
Well, just if we want to talk about Sertelli for a second, that was a terrible pick. I think some people are all right with it. This build is just doesn't interest me at all.
I don't think he was half that bad. I like the other pitchers, but I don't think. Fuck this name.
Sertelli.
Well, the T is fucking silent then. All right, Sertelli. I don't think he's out the bad. I mean, the control might hit like 72 to 75.
Yeah.
But you've seen relievers.
Yeah. I think the only aspect of this conversation will be on the relief pitcher scale, which is a tilted scale because it's a shitty position
right
now, and it has been the last.
He's clearly going to be above average.
Whatever you want to say. So he'll have a job somewhere as a relief pitcher as long as he's not planning to convert him. If he's planning to convert him to a starting pitcher,
no, that's a bad
disaster of a pick.
That's a bad idea. But I think he's gonna be solid as reliever. Was he picked a little high in my opinion? Yes. Do I hate him? No, I don't hate him.
If he only ends up at an 85, he's probably useless. Well, I shouldn't say useless because again we're talking about the relief pitcher scale, but
it's all going to the one stat is going to be control. That's it. Where his control lies will determine how effective he'll be, and that's it. Oh shit! What the hell was that? Let's see. Any more picks you want to gloss over? Unless you want to move over to the second round. Any more?
Let's look. I think Detroit did pretty good at 25, 26, getting both Marquez and Walgrove. Nothing spectacular, but both guys with a good shot of getting to a good spot.
I was definitely a fan of Walgrove. I mean, I'm just concerned of how high his ceiling is. But, I mean, if he has an early jump, cool. I'm definitely a fan. He's got a plus fastball, plus sinker. So he could definitely be a solid starter. Marquez was a guy I did not even look at because he's like one of those dudes I just saw lefty idols. I said, fuck him. Now I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, shit. This guy could be pretty damn good, especially as a reliever. Everything.
Looking at the amateur stats real quick, I mean, this guy's a 51 playing against talent that's probably better than him in his ability to keep the home runs down. Looks elite.
Also, his K rate is pretty damn high.
Yeah, it's not bad for the mogul world.
I dismissed him, but when I saw him again, I was like, oh, shit, good pick.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I'd probably leave him in the pen.
You have to.
Unless I don't think you have to. I think you can wait 3 or 4 years and then make a decision on it. But
if he's a lefty Lou Cook,
I think I would leave him in the pen and let him play out his career that way.
If he's a lefty Lou Cook, you start him. If not, you put him in the pen. He would have to be like Derek Moore status to put in a rotation, in my opinion.
You are just a lefty hater.
No, I mean, I'm not a lefty hater. I'm just saying, like, all right, I am a lefty hater, but I don't know. Would he be good enough to start? It's definitely too early to tell.
Yeah, it's definitely too early to tell that. So, like I said, I'd leave him in the pen at least.
I'm just looking at relief pitcher. That's it. I wouldn't even think about starting him. Second round, I was a big fan of Winter Halder. Great name, by the way. I know Andy was pissed. That's like his dream guy. Detroit Tigers taking Mark Winterhalter. He looks like one of those speed guys that would just be a pain in the ass for the next 10 years. 16 years old. Nice upside. He's going to be one of those dudes who peaks out low, but his vials are going to be crazy good.
Yeah, I mean, I would call him a reach, but obviously he was going to go in this range.
Nah, it's not.
Like someone was going to move up or just select him in this range. So it wasn't a reach for where he took him.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it was a reach for the talent level you're getting.
I mean, but if he becomes Rick Curtin, the guy on Detroit currently, 84 overall, great vowels through and through, then he won. That's a great pick, which
Hmm.
that's probably his direct comparison. Um, but I would look past the low peak because I think his vials are going to be just fine. And the weird thing with speed guys, sometimes their contact just jumps through the roof all of a sudden, and he could be one of them.
And the one thing Matt won't have to worry about is even if he's not playing out exactly like he is envisioning it, this guy he'll have plenty of trade value going forward. Everybody will ask about him, so
Sí, señor.
um, certainly he'll be able to recoup 31 value on him at some point, even if he doesn't work out the way he wants him to.
Can't disagree. So any second round picks you want to gloss
Let's
over?
see. I think a guy uh, to shift back to hate mode.
Oh,
A pick that I really was not a fan was Rocky Sansotera going to Chicago, 42nd.
Sansotera. Well, Andy drafted for him, and I'm thinking he probably put Rocky Sansotera because he couldn't get Winterhalter. Um,
Which was a mistake. I mean, you can't chase types. You got to let the board
no,
fall
I
to
don't think,
you.
I'm not going to say he did that, but maybe he just wanted to get a speed guy for the Cubs, and this was probably a good spot.
I mean,
Uh,
he's not even. I mean, he's got some speed, but I don't consider him a speed guy per se. His base stealing might even be a negative going forward. He might run into some outs there.
he's definitely
Singletary is just a guy with low upside, the way I see it. It appears he jumped already this season, so he's going to hit his next birthday, and he'll be something like 69, 78, and you just spend a second rounder on it.
definitely a question mark type dude. I don't think he's gonna be half that bad.
I think he's going to be overwhelmingly unspectacular.
Overwhelmingly unspectacular. All right, so in about 8 to 10 years, when you see this guy win multiple
Yeah,
batting
then
titles,
I'll have to eat crow, but that's not that's a guy I was totally not into. That was
I
a
know
surprising pick that early.
I know one pick you liked, and I agree with you. Angels selecting Chad Patmore,
Oh
28.
yeah. Um,
I'm a fan too. I just question his contact where it's going to end up, but I'm a fan. He's got elite power.
I was giving him a little bit of consideration when I was picking early for my comp A selection at the top of the round. I certainly see the drawbacks. I totally get why he fell to this spot. So I'm not going to say this guy fell per se because he's locked into a DH role. But when I look at his bat, I think he can be every bit of a top end DH as anybody else.
Um, oh man, I wouldn't take him because I'm afraid of that contact. Because I don't know if he has the upside to get to 70. Because
See,
that's
I think he has a lot of upside.
I think it's yeah, he's got considerable upside, but like not I don't know. Uh,
I agree with your hesitation. He's
I'm
far from
hesitant.
a sure
I'm
thing, but
definitely I'm just as hesitant as 29 other GMs.
yeah.
Uh,
I imagine if this guy gets to a 90, he's going to be looking damn good.
a guy I want to point out right after was Lee Alcoin to Detroit. Detroit picked a lot of pitchers, a lot of high ground ball rate pitchers, some with high upside. I was a big fan of Alcoin. I was actually considering him at my selection about 15 picks ago.
Hmm.
Um, I don't like his stuff because there's nothing that jumps out at you, but he could be one of those dudes who, whether I mean, if he doesn't pan out, he could definitely go into the bullpen. So
Yeah.
I think you're safe with a guy like him.
So with Alcoin, one of the red flags for me was his birthday right after the draft.
Right, I saw that
That
too.
so that doesn't affect like the player per se, but it affects the value of the pick. Because you're going to look at it in just a sim and be like, well, maybe this guy should have been a third or fourth rounder. So my take is any of these pitchers taken in this range, they should really be looking at Joey Walsh, and I think Joey Walsh is going to be the best of the bunch. So that maybe I'm patting myself on the back right there, but I think Joey Walsh is the best of the pitchers taken in the late second, early third.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about second round here, so you definitely jumping the gun. I was definitely a fan of Walsh. Who else was I a big fan of? Oh
I was
yes,
a big fan of Thrasher, for what that's worth. I went to New York in the middle of the third, or the
I
middle of the second.
I hate him.
Tell me why.
I hate his control. I hate it. His control is gonna hit like 70, if not 72. Hate him.
I mean, it can be hard to predict when guys are 48. Sometimes
Hate it.
they don't
You're
sort of follow the trend because they're overall so low.
hate
So maybe you're right that it doesn't hit, but I
hate
think
it.
he's a pretty damn good relief pitcher.
Hate it. Nope. Um, I loved Thad Lambert. I think he's a solid pitcher.
Yep, I like Thad Lambert as well.
That's definitely limited upside, but he definitely has the vitals to. Well, one before beyond the vitals, he has two pitches, so he's going to gain a third at some point as long
Right.
as you start him. I don't know if it matters actually if you start him or come as
Yeah,
a.
so
But
this guy provides a lot of flexibility to the Cubs, so he can sort of evaluate his minors, say, do I want to send him to the pen or make him a starter? So his build certainly allows that option either way. His health allows that option either way. His endurance allows that option either way. Um,
I think he's a starter.
yeah, I have no problem with him going to the starter. I'm
I
thinking
wouldn't
of,
have I wouldn't have I wouldn't have a single problem if he went to reliever though.
yeah, I'm in the same exact boat. I'm just thinking if he was on my team, I probably would pick the bullpen, but that's just the nature of the way my system's set up.
I would pro- hmm. I would probably start him, and then if I feel like it's just not going to work, then I would throw him in the pen.
Yep.
But I would definitely start him. But I was definitely a fan. He's the guy who I was waiting on at 43, but obviously was taken, so I took Wesley, which was fine by me. But Lambert was definitely a guy high on my list. I was actually considering him at 24 because I really wanted a pitcher. But yeah, I was definitely considering Lambert, so I was definitely a fan. Um, let's go. Let's go round three. I was definitely a fan of Walsh. We talked about this.
Right.
Uh,
Right after that, I was a big fan of Dan English as well.
Dan English.
Yep.
I'm looking at him for the first time. I like him too.
You shouldn't be looking at him for the first time. He should have been on your list.
Let's see if he was on my list. Let's see.
Actually, those three pitchers in a row, I liked Rod Bright some too. I think Bright was picked a little early.
I don't
I
know.
think I pegged him more towards the late third, early fourth, just because his build isn't necessarily conventional. I think I'd go to the pen with Rod Bright.
You're talking about
Um, but he was a guy that made my list. He got picked a little early, but I liked him. Certainly, like I mentioned, like Walsh and Dan English a lot more.
Rod Bright. Where did he go?
He went 63rd.
Oh, okay. Yep. Um, I hate his control. Same reason for the reliever before. Hate it.
He's got a chance in the pen. He's not a starter in my mind, but he's got a chance in the pen.
Don't like it. Nope. I think Dan English is the line of control that I would like to see from a 48, 49 overall. Not 50. Is there something weird with those damn overalls being so low? A guy like Bright will have shit control, but a guy
I agree, he will, but yeah. So Rod Bright's no sure thing. I just like his potential as
your
a
guy
pen.
Walsh could be a potential stud because of his control being so high.
Yeah. So just the story on Walsh. Given his health at 85, I'm planning on going to the rotation with him. That's sort of unusual. For me, I usually just leave guys in the pen if they're a relief pitcher, but I think he's a pretty sure thing, so I'm just going to the rotation with him.
He would probably end up similar to Cleveland's pitcher Francisco Azcona. I believe he was like a reliever project, very, very low overall, turned into a starter. I guess turned to a starter, 2.5 years in?
Who are we talking about?
Azcona. At one point, he was looking like an ace, but he dropped. So, but there at one point he looked like an ace. So I would probably compare those two guys. Or at least, what's his name, Walsh, when he's
Ascona. I'm still looking for Ascona. Sorry.
Cleveland. He's like SP4. He doesn't look as great now, but he was looking pretty good like 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah, he's pitched pretty well, even considering he's dropped down.
But I would think if you're going to take him to the rotation, that's like the guy. He probably like high control, high movement, high.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting with Walsh 6 seasons in and he's got a 3.5 ERA, I'm happy with that.
That's pretty. I mean, at 61 overall, that's awesome. Yeah. I was a big fan of my pick, Wolper and Zimmerman.
Yeah, I was actually about to bring those up. I think you made a good picks in both Wolper and Zimmerman. Pretty close.
Starting on Zimmerman,
mid-third.
Starting on Zimmerman, same with Overstreet, the third baseman who got picked like 8th overall. I think Zimmerman was a safe pick in my eyes. He's a guy who could handle the glove. His bat is not going to be anywhere near elite, but he will be a nice-looking FCM third baseman, which is
So not to be a broken record here, but we were just talking about the scarcity of the third base position right now. So Zimmerman's going to be loved defensively no matter what, and his bat's got plenty of upside to be, I don't know, 80, 75, 80. Like that's certainly within the realm of possibilities, and that would be a really good option right now at third base.
He doesn't have crazy upside, but I think he's got enough to. I'll give him 4 or 5 years, like 4 probably, but I think if he can hit the 80s in contact power, and I think his splits are fairly even. So he's like he's not a switch hitter obviously, but he doesn't have the huge difference between righty versus lefties.
And just to back off and take a bigger picture view of the whole draft right now, I'd say infielders were definitely scarce to come by in this draft. I didn't see a ton that caught my eye. So Zimmerman being one of the few, I think was pretty good value right there.
Yeah,
this drafted a lot of pitchers.
I saw a pitchers draft. Yeah, like when you look at his draft as a whole, I saw pitchers. I
saw a lot of solid to very good outfielders. But
low key, a lot of first basemen too.
And catcher was extremely weak.
Yeah, catchers are weird. It's either you have a lot of them or you have none of them. I hated all the catchers in this draft.
Well, I guess we're in the third round, so I thought Casilla to the Dodgers was a little bit interesting to segue into more catcher talk. The 100 fielding is certainly, you have to look at that, and that's interesting.
You know what? I've picked a guy like this before. He's on Boston. Timmons.
Isn't Timmons pretty damn good?
Well, he was in a veatable trade, but no. He's not pretty damn good. He's a backup catcher.
Okay. Okay.
He's actually having a good year in 12 games.
Yeah, so I see what you're looking at. I guess I thought the Casilla build was a little bit more rare. So Timmons is pretty close comparison.
Yeah, well, it's because
he's a switch hitter, which will help him a little.
The defense. That's what I saw. The low power, high contact.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the defense is he's not going to be a good catcher. I've seen it before with some of those guys. They're not going to throw out guys. They might not drop the ball, but they're not going to throw anyone out at second or third base.
Yeah, so I guess what we're looking at with Casilla is probably the best of a bad bunch.
Probably, but even with him, I would just take someone else. But can he become a great hitter? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to be a all-star? No.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I don't think that's happening.
Well, you don't give a shit about caught stealing rates, do you?
Or
at least you don't really put a huge emphasis on it.
I do. It's hard to say with Moga. I think we run a little low. I haven't run any averages or anything like that. But even the guys with 95 armor are throwing out around 90. Sorry, let me restart the sentence. I think the guys with 90 arm are often only throwing out about 25%.
I mean, I've seen some 30s, some 35s.
Yeah, in single seasons, but I'm talking about like grand scheme of things, the average of averages. which seems low to me. So I think the value of arm is important, but I don't
Okay.
think it'll ever show its true value at a really high level.
Understood. So moving on. Well, we talked about Zimmerman. I do like my other pick, Walper. Two other picks I really liked. Joseph Wise to Texas. If you're gonna take a chance on a guy who has limited upside but has great vitals, yeah, he's 22 years old, but if he hits early, if he jumps early, you might be looking at a middle rotation type dude who, behind a good defense, he could be very effective. Joseph Wise, I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I like Wise. I'm not in love with Wise.
No, I don't think anyone should be in love with him, but I think he could be very, very solid.
Yeah, so I think I would send Wise to the pen, and I think he'll be pretty valuable as a pen piece. I think as a starting pitcher, he'll probably look like a 5, and be pretty dispensable.
Well, you know what? I never would have thought about putting him in the pen, but that's not that's not a bad idea. Would you do it right away? Just to
Yeah,
get started?
if that's the plan for the Rangers, if that's what War Priest wants to do, yeah, definitely right away.
My money is on that he will be a starter. I would have him as a starter and not give up hope that he could be a solid reliever if you just throw him in there as a below average starter with the high endurance. But yeah, I think he's like one of those cats who like you will definitely see him have major league service time. Like,
Oh yeah, I think he'll pretty safely have 8 to 10 years at least.
whether as a starter or reliever. I mean,
Yeah, pretty great.
I don't think he's gonna be anything great. I'm not saying he's gonna be a Hall of Famer or even an All Star, but I think he was a very wise pick. Did you get it?
I'm looking for somebody I can really hate on in the third round, but at this point, it's hard to hate on
You
anybody per
missed
se.
it. Over your head? No, you didn't. No, nothing. No pun.
I wasn't listening.
It's all good. All right, I'll go fuck myself and move on. Rafael Vasquez, another guy I liked.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned him. I was actually about to mention the same guy. Yeah, I think those.
There you
I
go.
don't know if Eric's on a list or what, but I think he'll be pretty happy with Vasquez.
Well, you know what? If anyone wants to rehear my picture theory,
I don't think anyone does.
he's got the curse of Jim Wetmore in him.
Oh, oh. So if it has any,
Man, I swear to you, man, I could have a whole 45-minute fucking 3-hour rant on fucking that picture theory. I'm telling you, man.
I think if you want to do that, you should do a solo podcast so you don't have to torture anybody else with that baloney.
Fuck y'all guys. I'm going to show him and Wetmore side by side. I know. I'm sick.
Well, Wetmore didn't have a high fielding build. So whatever.
No. See, it's bad because Jim Wetmore's
I can't believe I'm even having this conversation with you.
No. Whatever. If Vasquez,
I think Vasquez is a good bat. I think there's a lot to like. He's got contact power and eye, all above his overall, but still a balanced build. So Vasquez, if he gets the little bit of mogul magic, he gets the right jumps, I think he'll be pretty valuable.
well, if he has a Wetmore build, then he has a curse in him. So that's like cancer. So
Well,
how many vetoes?
that's true. There is no erasing the curse of Jim Wetmore. I agree with you there.
The curse of Jim Wetmore. Was it 3 vetoes or something like that?
Something like that. And you're right. The curse cannot be erased. It's forever stuck.
He's the cursed one. Let me see if there's any other third round picks that I really liked. Oh, is that? No, not that guy.
I'm just looking at this list. I think we talked about the guys that stuck out in my mind: Walsh, English,
Yeah.
Wolpert, Zimmerman.
Yes, I'm a fan of Thoreau. Rangers, last of the third round, lefty.
Oh yeah, I was a fan of
again. I think this was a low key first baseman's draft. I even like the first baseman that LA took in the 4th round, Elizondo.
Yeah, so Thoreau's sort of Len Grimes extra light, certainly of that same build.
It's like
but when we're talking about late third, I think Thoreau's a hell of a dart throw.
Caffeinated Len Grimes. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I said extra light Len Grimes.
Okay. Okay. I get it. Um, all right. So fourth round, fifth round, sixth round. I'll be honest. I kind of gave up on the draft because I was out of it. So I don't know exactly who are my favorite picks.
Yeah, so I think I spent a lot of time as always in the fourth and fifth round. So I guess I can lead off, and you can sort of bounce off
Absolutely.
what I saw.
I still have my
One
list.
of the fourth rounders that stuck out to me. I guess we're going to talk about another Texas player. Texas, I don't know how many picks James had, but it must have been around 20 picks. But anyways, Vinny Seculo, he went
Sakula.
106th overall. He's a third baseman and second baseman, switch hitter. Pretty good defense. I think most teams will be happy with the defense he can provide, and he's got a bit of upside. So I like
Yeah.
what he can provide there.
Um, limited upside. Uh,
We're talking about limited upside no matter what we're talking about fourth round and beyond. So
well,
the way Mogul goes is they'll give wild jumps to some guys, and I think Socolo has as much of a chance of getting a wild jump as anybody as the next guy in
once
this
you hit
range.
that staircase type jumps,
Right, exactly.
it's well. I mean, yeah, he could be a solid guy. Switch hitter, no eye whatsoever. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's not going to walk. He's not going to be an on-base percentage hero, that's for sure.
No.
But we're talking about a weak infield draft. He plucked him out of the fourth round. He didn't pay a lot for him. I think Sekulo is as good a bet as anybody around this point.
I was a big fan of. I'm jumping to round here, but I was a big fan of Jay Rifkin, third base. I think he's going to be better than the cat you talked about from Texas.
Where did Rifkin go?
Rifkin went number 1, fifth round. I love Rifkin. I think he could be a late Goldie.
It's funny at least how I'm talking about how shitty the infield was for our drafts, and we've talked about like 10 infielders at this point, sort of debunking the
Well,
theory.
I mean, there really weren't many. So there weren't many.
Yeah, there
Definitely.
were a ton.
I'm a huge fan of Rifkin.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more bearish on Rifkin. I certainly have no problem with him in the fifth round. He's got as much upside as the next guy. Um,
I think Rifkin's gonna be a guy. We're gonna see, when is his birthday? June.
yeah, I mean, I certainly see Rifkin as valuable. I still prefer Sekulo.
No.
But yeah, I can see why you like Rifkin.
I think Riff has higher upside. He's a lefty. He's got better defense, at least stability at third base. His contact's a question mark.
So just to bounce back to the defensive thing, I'd rather have Sekulo, who's slightly worse at third base, but he gives the ability at second base as well. I know some people really are going to harp on having an elite second baseman defensively, but I think we'll be fine there.
I think if you're going to look for a starter, Rifkin's your guy. If you really want to go for the home run, Rifkin's your guy. Otherwise, you're going to pick up a utility.
I do agree with that. I think Rifkin's has a potentially higher ceiling than
I think he is
Sekulo. Yeah.
On Cincinnati Reds, Justin Meade, a third base prospect. I think he is Justin Meade light. I don't think he's going to get to the level of Justin Meade because I think Meade was just a way better prospect when he first came up. But he's definitely going to compare, to a high power, low contact lefty, stability at third base, low eye, just rock.
Yeah, I think naturally people pull out that example because it's the lefty thing. I'm looking at Meade right now, and I think Meade's pretty unspectacular for a 77 right now. I mean, he's gonna provide you good defense, but the bat needs to get close to that.
I think he's got
close to that 90 overall to be a good bat.
I think he's got enough upside to come around with that contact. I think he's gonna be a tremendous talent, really. I kicked myself because I should have picked him. I picked a different third baseman who's now.
Yeah, Meade wasn't really. If I recall, he wasn't really on my radar.
Yeah,
years ago, but I could be misremembering.
Yeah, I regret that one. Matter of fact, Andy has burned me a lot of picks that I should have picked, aka Rich Vadenhoff. Fuck, I wish I could. But it's okay. I picked another catcher that draft anyway. Anyway,
Don't worry, this can double as sort of a therapy session.
yeah, right. But it's all Cincinnati. Fuck. Another pick that I liked Chris Hunker. I think we talked about him briefly pre going live. Hunker. I gotta see where he went.
He went 142, Kansas City.
142 Kansas City. Well, considering Mike did not scout, he picked a pretty good pitcher.
Yeah, he's got the giant red flag, but we're talking about the 5th round, so
I love where his control is at. He's a high ground ball. His movement's right where it's at. He's got great upside, 24 upside. I mean, he's got a long time. Like, if he's gonna be the majors, you won't see him until he's 26, 27 type dude. But
so the bottom line on Hunker for me was great build, love the build, terrible amateur stats, horrible amateur stats.
I'm going to disagree with you. Heavy, actually. High school, he had like a 4 ERA. Let's say 4.42. Considering he's 50 overall, that's pretty damn good, especially with the low home run rate. Yeah, he went to college.
His college stats are fucking terrible.
He went to college for 2 years as a 50 overall. He was like a fucking bullpen. Like a batting practice pitcher.
Yeah.
He was a 50 overall guy. If he was like a 65, then yeah, red flag, but he's a 50.
Yeah. So I like I said, like I like the pick of Hunker. I'm conflicted because of the bad amateur stats. But we're talking about the 5th round. It's a chance well worth taking when we're talking about the 5th round.
Huge.
So I really like the build. I think it makes a lot of sense to take him. The 72 endurance gives Mike the option to send him to the pen if he wants to, or keep him as a starter.
It's a pretty good option for the pen.
I would lean towards the bullpen because I don't think he'll ever be starter material, and I think he's pretty useful as a pen piece.
That's fair, but I think you can never say a sure thing, but I think he'll definitely have the skill to be a middle reliever type dude. Cubs getting Joey Velasco. Lefty, great contact, great speed. Below average defense, but I think it's fine with this speed. Limited upside, but there's a lot of low overall outfielders out there who look pretty fancy at 75 overall.
Yeah, so I'm definitely more into this pick than I am the Rocky Santaterra pick in the 2nd round. Laszlo.
Yeah, you can't say it either.
It's a tough name. It Velasco, I guess, is my best guess.
Velasco.
He looks like he's primed for a jump, which is nice. Like you said, the 10 upside's pretty low.
Yeah, but if he hits his jumps early, I think he's gonna be good.
The way I look at him is if he gets to 78 or so, I think he's gonna be pretty useful.
Also, he just had a birthday, so he really looks like one of those. If you look at his skills, his vitals, he's probably going to top out at 75, or sorry, like 76, 77, 78. But when he peaks at 78, he's going to have like 85 contact, 90 speed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's got 69 contact. It's not that far off.
Yeah.
The way speed guys go. I'm just saying, I think that's a hell of a pick.
I think you're stretching it. I think he could be useful. I think he'll be more in line for like 80 contact, and that'll be good.
Well, I'm anywhere between 85 and 80 would be a win.
I guess in my mind, I'm thinking there's a big difference between 85 and 80.
Well, there is, but if anything, he'll be a very useful 4th outfielder. But in a rebuilding situation, for the Cubs, great pickup because he will have trade value if he hits his jumps, which I probably will because yeah. But I was definitely a fan of him. Another guy, Earl Elliott. Where was he picked? Earl Elliott.
I know he went to my team. I don't know
He went to your
what did
team.
he do.
Oh, he did. 6th round. I love that upside, dude.
Yeah, so I guess I can lead off with sort of why I liked him.
Upside, upside, upside.
Yeah, so much upside. The power in the eye
Oh yeah.
are so much higher than his overall. Um, this guy, if he gets to like 85, he's going to be such a good bat.
I'm trying to think how the hell he got to 1.5 fucking 2. I should have bought back in.
Yeah, he fell too far compared to some guys that were taken ahead of him. It's up to the mogul gods to give him the right jumps, certainly.
True.
But the vitals are so good for a 59.
Super good. I picked a guy like this and he became a stud, and I regret it. Tim Smalley.
Oh yeah, he was a good player for Boston. I don't know exactly where he might be in Minnesota now, if my memory serves me, but
White Sox. White Sox.
White Sox. Okay.
Um, Tim Smalley. Remember that early at Tim Smalley.
Yep, I would be ecstatic
I know you would.
if I get Tim Smalley in the 6th round.
I promise you, that contact power eye combination compared to with his upside, he's got time. He's going to be one of those cats who probably will come up at like 27.
Yep, that'd be fine with me. I mean, we're talking about the 6th round. I mean, this is as good a bet as any in the 6th round.
Loved it. GD wants a team by team. I can't do team by team. That'll take hours.
Jesus Christ! I mean,
We're going with our favorite guys.
yeah.
I was tipsy coming in. Now I'm definitely sober now. But
FCM has a way of, at least Draft Top has a way of sobering you up.
3 other guys who I liked, and that'll be the end of my list past 4th round. Lauren Stanley, Takahoshi Nagai, and Eric Shoemaker. 3 guys. Let me see where any of them went.
So to start with the top of your list. Sorry, I'm tongue twisting here.
Shoemaker. Let's start with Shoemaker. Shoemaker went to Chicago. Oh wait, he went to Andy's new team. So the Cubs are going to be fucking nice. I think he's a good piece. If anything, he could be a nice bullpen piece. I can see him as a useful pen piece. Same as Hunker.
Stanley.
Well, actually,
Stanley and him are definitely have some similarities.
going back to Shoemaker, actually, comparing him to Hunker to Kansas City.
Yeah, I think that's a
low overall, but his stats were awesome.
I think Schumacher's sort of a little different because his amateur stats are really good, but in terms of build, they're similar.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good pick.
Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of pitchers with good builds in this draft. A lot of pitchers with good builds. I was gonna sort of mention this earlier, but a lot of years I don't come out with any pitching just because the pitchers tend to get picked, I don't know, 20, 30 picks ahead of their slot, or at least where I'm slotting them.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought there were so many pitchers this year. There was a lot of opportunities coming away with good arms this year.
Yeah, definitely deep. Lauren Stanley went to Chicago. Fuck. Well,
you're like writing your obituary.
you know
right
what?
now.
Yeah, I might as well. Chicago, you might as well just go on vacation every month because you just let Andy draft for you because you got yourself a nice bullpen. This guy is definitely going to be a pen star, Lawrence Stanley. And wait, I'm going to give a wild guess that this last guy, Nagai, went to Chicago. I bet he did.
It's sort of like troubling.
I swear. He's
invested in another team.
I'm already fitting his Chicago Cubs uniform as I'm looking for his name. Where is he?
Who are you looking for again?
Takahoshi Nagai. He's a pitcher, I believe.
He might be a 6th-rounder. Yeah, he went to 174.
He went to Pittsburgh. Woohoo! Of course, he goes to Central. I was a big fan of him too. So.
Yeah. I'm on a different page with Nagai. I had no interest, honestly.
Well, I think he's a bullpen piece.
Yeah, I mean, fine.
Yeah. But yeah, Shoemaker, Stanley, Chicago. There's your 2080 World Series. Any guys want to highlight?
I can pluck out a few A couple extra names like you did. Mark Volmer, couple picks after that. Catcher who went to LA. Nothing spectacular about him, but he is a 16-year-old with projectable bat vitals given his overall.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So Volmer is really, we're talking about dart throws this late, but
Sure.
16-year-old catcher. He's not going to be a catcher that you're
Not a
really in
catcher.
love with using, but
First
if you get
base,
a good, reliable backup catcher out of late sixth rounder, I think you're happy with that.
I mean, if he's good enough to be a DH, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm with you. That's a nice selection. High upside. I always like the high upside guys late in the draft, and if they're also 16 years old, that's even more awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good selection.
I think naturally, because I took him, I like Travis Owensby, first baseman. Another guy, his vitals are all over his overall. A little bit of upside, so I think
Gotta hit his jumps quick. Definitely gotta hit his jumps quick.
Yeah, I agree. He needs a mogul magic. Let's see if I can come up with anybody else.
Low key, I like Brian Holiday to LA Angels. I don't think he's gonna be anything spectacular, but he could be a good second baseman. He's got some speed.
Yep, he's a nice option to for middle infielder at this point. Let's see if we can get out of the sixth round. Sixth round is really digging through the dumpster.
You find gold sometimes, dude.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. But there's no sixth rounder right now that looks like a sure thing of any
besides
any way, shape, or form.
Besides all the Cubbies. That's your rotation right there.
I thought Lyle Carpenter going 129 to Texas. Good little fifth rounder there.
Yeah.
Not a lot to comment on him other than I really like the build. Stats aren't bad for his amateur numbers. He's good of a bet as a pitcher in this sort of area as anybody else.
Yeah, I kind of wish that Carpenter was lower endurance, so he could kind of have that.
Yeah, so that I agree. That's a knock. He's locked into a starter's role.
Yeah.
Whereas that adds a little bit of value to Hunker and Shoemaker, whereas you get the option of moving them one way or the other. So I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. Any particular team you were really thrilled with their draft?
So I guess the teams that really ruled the draft were Texas and LA in terms of quantity.
Yeah.
In terms of value combined with that quantity, I think Texas has to be the big winner in my mind.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that. I love Texas, their draft.
Yeah, so I think he did a good job picking out mid-round, late-round picks that I liked. He picked out Trent Wetzer. I cannot pronounce that name. Trent Wezarek, something like that. 122. That's a good pick. Carpenter, we just talked about. Sakulo, I liked. We talked about that. Rob Thoreau.
Oh, Weiss Cork. I have a Weiss Cork in my team.
Yeah, so he's a good selection at that point. But the first round is where he needed to make something good happen, and that's going to be the brunt of his value. I really like Valentine. I really like Vrana. So I think I don't think he hit every pick out of the park based on what I would have selected, but that's just a personal preference thing. I think when you look back at his 20 or so picks, he's going to come away with at least 5 really good players.
No, yeah, I'm definitely with you. I like their draft. They picked a couple of relievers, Jackson, Posados. They got 3 starting pitchers, or 2 starting pitchers. You think Wise is gonna be a reliever? Definitely a pitcher's draft. So you heavy on pitchers first 3 rounds.
So I think when talking about the Dodgers, I think it's sort of on the other side of the coin. I think he had too many picks for his own damn good.
Well,
I'm looking at LA's draft, and I would have done so many things different.
Major rebuild.
Yeah, and
all your eggs in one basket.
He put all of his eggs in one basket. That is for sure. He sold low on guys, in my opinion. You acquired a guy from DH type. I think he sold him for a
Lewis.
second, a third. If you
Lewis.
look at those players now, that's going to be a steal of a trade for you because I think the Dodgers had a bad draft given how drastically he drained his team of talent and what he came away with. I think it was a real disaster for the Dodgers.
And their team was pretty talented too. They could have, and they definitely had the space to add guys to kind of turn it around.
Yeah, so I think this is a really good example for FCM. Look at this team. Look how hard he bought into a single draft, and look what he came away with. I think it's an example of people getting starry-eyed over draft picks, and then when they turn into real players, you can look at the trades and you're like, I don't know about this. This is not looking so hot.
I hate to be negative, but I hated the pick of Troy Harrison first round. We didn't talk about hate picks, but I hated Troy Harrison. I hated him.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Troy Harrison either. So I'm on board with you there.
I hate him. He's a lefty. He's got limited upside. He's like, he doesn't have. He's a power build without the power.
Yeah. So just looking at the big cats of his draft, he had, let's see, in the top 2 rounds, he had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. I'm looking at 7 picks, and personally, I'm looking at 2 players I feel good about. I feel good about Mark Overstreet, and I feel all right about Heron.
I feel tingly inside about Overstreet. I love Heron. I like Toralba. Everyone else, I love Rifkin. Love Rifkin. But he's not going to make or break your team.
Yeah, but we're talking about the big cats that he sold out to get draft picks and get prospects, and I think the Dodgers set themselves back so badly. I don't think there's a better word for it. I think it was a disaster for the Dodgers.
Disaster. Well,
I mean, he has like 25 picks here. I'm not counting, but he has something in that neighborhood. So he's going to come away with something good that's unexpected out of this list just on pure statistics. But it wasn't a good bet. He sold out. He sold out to get in this draft, and he didn't get it done.
My final tally, 24.
Yeah.
2-4. That's
ugly.
That's a whole roster.
Not a fan. Sorry, Scott. You fucked up.
Hot takes. Heard it right here on YouTube, folks, with our 15 viewers, possibly 16 with Rob Manfred. Any final thoughts? We're about to wrap things up. Any final words? Well, actually, you know what? If anyone's listening on the chat, if you have any topics you want to talk about, now's the time, or else we're going to wrap things up. But anything else to talk about, Peter?
I mean, I'm good. I think we brushed over the whole draft in a useful way. Not everybody's gonna be happy because we didn't spend 8 hours going over the draft, which is probably what it would take to do a sufficient job in the eyes of FCM. But we brushed over the draft. We gave some positives and some negatives, and although I feel bad about leaving it on a negative note, sort of ripping the draft of the Dodgers, but
well, fuck it, get positive. Let's have a positive take here.
Well, positively, I loved my draft.
Well,
I think that's easy to say. I think a lot of the years I do like my drafts. The last couple of years I've been a little more wishy-washy, but I'm leaving this draft feeling really good about my draft.
Well, that's the way to be. Well, we'll end on that note. It's been fun, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I think this was this was timed out okay.
Yeah, we did all right on time.
I'm not sure what time we started, honestly, but it's 9:43 in the East Coast. So
it's been fun.
It's been fun. Peter?
Peace out, FCM.
All right, we'll do it again. Later.